Welcome to Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield, and look at me, Margo, I'm soaking wet. Joining me is my podcasting sister from another mister and the co-host of Dorking Out, Margo D. Hello, my friend.
Hello, my friend.
I am so excited because this week we are dorking out about 1992's Death Becomes Her. This was your pick, Margo, and I hadn't seen it since the theater. And this is going to be such a fun conversation. It's directed by Robert Zemeckis. It's written by Martin Donovan and David Cope, I think is how you pronounce it. And it stars Meryl Streep, Goldie Hawn, Bruce Willis, and Isabella Rossellini. So beautiful. She's so beautiful in this movie. So let's start with our usual question. Did you see this movie in the theater, Margo?
I think I did because it was a time when I would have gone to the movies all the time and tried to see everything. So, but I don't have a memory of it, but I'm pretty sure I did.
I know I saw it in the theater because the same. I saw everything in 1992. Like, I don't think a movie got by me. Like, I saw everything. I was working at the theater. I was going to college. Like, going to the movies was my thing. And what I remember about this movie was that it was a big deal that Meryl Streep was making a comedy. Like, she had done like Postcards from the Edge, which is comedy adjacent, I guess.
Oh, it's a comedy.
You think so?
Oh, absolutely it is.
And she had done Defending Your Life. And then this one, like, but before those, like, she really was like serious actress Meryl Streep.
Right.
Like, she's going to do a movie with an accent and win a bunch of awards. And then she kind of did this like series of movies. And this was like really heavy special effects, like not a Meryl Streep movie. And I just remember that being a really big deal. And then also Robert Zemeckis had come off like all the Back to the Future movies and like Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So it seemed like this weird pairing. I just remember being really excited about it.
Well, yeah, and we also have Goldie Hawn, who's
Yeah.
just this comedy genius, and Bruce Willis playing against type.
Yeah.
And just playing this total nerd burger.
So I have many thoughts and feelings about this movie, but let me just start with Bruce Willis. This movie reminded me how much I used to love Bruce Willis.
Same here. And how good of an actor he was.
Yeah.
He's so believable because I loved him on Moonlight.
Oh, my God.
Like right.
I had the biggest crush on him in Moonlight.
Absolutely. I used to like his commercials for the wine coolers. I didn't buy the album, Welcome to Bruno or something like that.
It was like The Return of Bruno.
The Return of Bruno. No, I didn't. I didn't fall for that. But I also loved Die Hard. I mean, he was a great movie star for me. And I loved how he played against type here. He was just very, very nebbishy, but he's so believable.
Yes. He did. Bruce Willis now is like, so I'm phoning it in and pretty serious, almost looks bored in movies. And this is like high energy, super funny, like pretty he's playing like an everyman schlub. Like I used to love Bruce Willis, and now I'm like, if you see Bruce Willis is in something, you're like, oh well, like
he occasionally delivers something that's like Wes Anderson directed or something like that. But no, I agree with you. He phones it in now. He like you said, he looks like he's about to fall asleep.
Yes.
At all times.
Yes.
And maybe, maybe that's just the part of just being rich and successful for so long.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it with a young wife and all that crap. But here I was reminded like he would take chances.
Yeah. And we're saying this as people who like Bruce Willis, by the way. We're not like, we're not shitting on like, fuck Bruce Willis. No, we like Bruce Willis. We wish he did more things like this.
Right.
So yeah, we got Bruce Willis. I know there was something else I was going to say. Oh, we should probably tell people what the movie's about. If you haven't seen it, you probably should pause the podcast and go watch it. It's on HBO right now, if you have HBO, and then come back and listen. But this movie is, so it's got Meryl Streep as an actress who steals her friend's man, and her friend is Goldie Hawn, who works as a writer, and Bruce Willis is a plastic surgeon who is dating Goldie Hawn. They're engaged, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And then Meryl Streep, I don't know, she has this thing where she's always taking Goldie Hawn's man, and I think it helps that he's a plastic surgeon because Meryl Streep's character, Madeline, is very obsessed with looking younger and staying young. So it was kind of a match made in heaven. Let me ask you, did you have a friend like that who would could easily take your man, or was like a cock blocker when you went to the bars?
No, but I had a friend of a friend when I first moved to New York that did that. And I remember once we were all going out for drinks and she got really sloshed. And she just said, I can't help it. When I meet a woman who has a husband, I just find myself hitting on him. I just can't stop it. We all kind of dropped her pretty quickly.
Oh my God, that's awful.
It's awful.
Yeah. I absolutely had I didn't have a friend who would take my man, but I definitely had a friend who, if we went to the bars together, I didn't have a shot. I was like,
right.
she's gonna do everything she can to get the attention, and I'm going to be stuck talking to that guy's married friend.
The bartender.
Yeah, I'm like, that's fine. It worked out in the end, but I definitely had that. So after Madeline steals Helen's man, we cut to Helen 7 years later, and Goldie Hawn is really going for it. They put her in the fat suit. I hate to say fat. I don't like using, but they make her super overweight. They make her clearly deranged. She's got many, many cats. She's eating frosting out of containers with her fingers. And they make it pretty gross. Pretty gross. And then she's watching a movie in which Madeline gets murdered over and over and over.
And it's so over the top. The whole this movie is super over the top. You're not supposed to take it seriously. It is just a silly little satire.
Yes.
But she goes from she's clinging to the doors. The cops are tearing her out of her apartment where she's being evicted. And Goldie Hawn just goes for it, you said. She's so great in this movie. She completely just dives right in. Everyone's great in this movie, by the way. Everyone's really strong. But so Goldie goes to a psychiatric
hospital. Oh my God, this made me laugh too.
Because it is such a Hollywood convention, this kind of a hospital, which is where you're treated well and stuff. But she has her big moment, all of a sudden, oh, I should just forget about it. Oh, I should just do this, that. And then she just walks out. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I was just going to say before that, she's in the group session and that scene where she's in the group therapy and the therapist asks, is there anything you want to talk about, Helen? And everyone's looking at her don't say it. Don't. And then she's like, I want to talk about Madeline. And everyone, no! Everyone goes nuts, basically. No, we don't want to talk about Madeline. It's made me laugh so hard. I loved it. Yeah. But then she realizes, or the therapist says, you should just forget about it. And she's like, yeah, I'll just forget about it. She's so crazy. It's awesome.
It's great. And then we flash forward, and Meryl Streep has been married now to, is his name Elvin?
Ernest. Yeah.
She's been married to Ernest for 12 years now.
Yeah.
And it's a time where I think this is before Botox. I want to say, because Botox changed the game.
Yeah.
Because it's a time where a woman over 40, it was just, and there's still not a lot of great parts for women, but it's much better than it used to be. But especially at that time, the actress having an expiration date on her career was a real threat.
Yes.
And Meryl was willing to do anything to look younger. And Ernest, at this point, is working on cadavers.
Yeah,
he's not even doing plastic surgery anymore.
Yeah, he's basically a mortician.
Yeah, that's actually a better way of saying it. Mortician at this point. And Helen. I love that they're Helen Mad. I like their nicknames for each other.
I know, Helen Mad.
But Helen Mad. But Helen writes a best-selling book about how to get your life together, I guess. And she looks amazing. She lost all that weight. She's got this gorgeous red hair. They have her in red quite a bit. And she looks beautiful.
So beautiful.
So beautiful. And I love the book party where she invites them to the book party. and Meryl Streep tries to sneak away, but then she calls her over, and Goldie Hawn's hitting on Ernest, and Meryl Streep comes home and she's like super upset, and so she goes to her boyfriend that lives on the pool guy. Is he the pool guy?
I'm like, is he the pool guy? That's what I assumed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he's younger than her, and she shows up. He wasn't expecting her. He's got a hot young thing there. And then, Meryl's like, "How dare you?" And he's like, "Do you know how foolish we look? How stupid we look because you're old and I'm young." By the way, she's 50.
Well, that's the thing, and like that's the way how things have changed in the last 30 years. It's like, So, and he's the guy. He's from Mystic Pizza. He played Julia Roberts' boyfriend.
Oh my God, I totally forgot that.
And he's Larry Underwood in The Stand, which we were going to talk about, but they don't have it streaming right now. But anyway, that's Adam Stork.
Okay, good to know. I totally forgot about, Mystic Pizza. I think that one's on our list.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention, so there's this, when they're at the book party, there's this, Helen looks great. What is her book is like Forever Young. And it's like all of her secrets to how she looks amazing. And people are skimming through the book and they're like, how old is she? Because she looks amazing. And they're like, she's 50. Like 50, so old. And they really do, they age them up to look. I'm like, come on, that's not 50. They give them age spots on their hands and do all these things to make them look older than 50, but then say it's 50. I'm like, it's a Hollywood version of 50, I guess.
Exactly.
It's pretty crazy. And during this rewatch, I was like, this movie is working for me on a whole different level, because when I saw it the first time, I was 21. I was a baby when I saw this movie. And so when I saw it, I was like, haha, special effects, and they want to live forever, and that's hilarious, and I liked it and moved on. And now I'm like, I'm 50. I just turned 50, and I'm watching this movie, and I'm fascinated by it, because I don't have the obsession with being young. I don't want to be younger than I am, but I definitely care about trying to take care of my body, because let me go back a little bit. Isabella Rossellini plays this I don't know, is she like a witch or something?
A Wicca. I don't know. Yeah, she's a witch, and Meryl Streep shows up at her house, and she basically says, "I have a potion that'll make you younger, and you'll never age from this moment on." And she says to her, I love this. Meryl Streep goes, "Guess how old I am. Just guess."
Yeah.
Meryl Streep says, "I don't know, 38." And
her face,
this wicked stare, like, "How dare you?"
I mean, 23.
28 too.
So funny.
Rossellini's very funny in this movie.
Oh my God. And she looks
beautiful.
Amazing in this movie. But she has these a couple of lines that they're almost like throwaway lines, but they're things that really stuck with me. So it was taking care of your body because you're going to be with it for a long time. And I feel that way now, where I'm just I'm trying to take care of myself, because I want to be here for a long time. Not forever, but I want to be here for a long time. Or the idea of you're scared of the body you thought you knew. Your body's changing. It's not what it used to be. And now it's we play the game where it's mystery bruise. Where did I get this bruise? Stuff like that. Just little things like that didn't click with 21-year-old Sonia. Now I'm like, oh yeah. I understand, because there is still a lot of pressure on women to always be beautiful and always look younger than they are. And this movie takes that to an extreme, obviously, but I think it's really interesting to think about and to see it in this extreme. It gave me a lot to think about, and I told you this off mic. I've been watching a lot of scary movies this October, And this is the first movie I watched that actually gave me a nightmare. Where like I woke up this morning I had a nightmare where like my husband was like, "You're old and ugly and I don't want you anymore," and like all this stuff. And like I woke up and I was like, "I had a terrible nightmare. You think I'm old and ugly and you don't want me anymore." And he's like, "Ah ha ha, that's ridiculous." Like, you know, it's like this is the thing that women can carry. A lot of women, I don't want to say all women, I don't speak for all women, but a lot of women carry this stuff around.
Yeah.
So sorry for the rant, but
no, it's not a rant. That's fine. So we should just say that Meryl Streep takes the potion, and as soon as she takes it, and then she says, "But there's a warning." Like, now there's a warning.
I wrote that down. Now a warning.
Correct. She's so funny in this movie. So she basically can't die.
Yes.
But her body can get busted up, so you have to take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes home and to Bruce Willis, and she's yelling at him, and then she falls down a flight of stairs.
Yes.
Does he shove her? I think the first time.
She's kind of teetering on the stairs, and then he pushes her. Like, yeah, and then she's all busted up.
And Helen wanted him to kill her.
Yes.
Or do so. Yeah. So that wasn't the plan anyway. And he's just like, "Helen just fell on the floor." She's like, "They're going to trace the call." I'm like, "Oh my God, they'd be there in 2 seconds." Like, because they can hear everything you do nowadays. But but Meryl Streep sits up, and then her head, and there's a lot of special effects going on here.
Yes.
And with her head behind her, her head pointing in the opposite direction. And Goldie Hawn at one point gets shot, and then she's got a hole in her stomach.
Yes.
And he can't kill them. And Bruce Willis is like freaked out about this. And it's a great scene where Meryl Streep goes to the hospital.
Oh,
it's Sidney Pollack.
Sidney Pollack. I wrote him down. I'm like, he's such a good director, but I'm always happy when he shows up in
As
a
an
movie.
Actor. He's great.
I think he's great.
Everybody here, they're just super, super funny. And then, she and Goldie Hawn have this competition. Basically, they're going to kill each other. Like, they want to get the other one to get Ernest to go with them. Ernest winds up back at the house with Isabella Rossellini, and he says, "You know what? I don't want to live forever.
Mm-hmm.
I want to." He has this epiphany. Like, that's terrible. Everybody dies, and what if I get alone? What if I get lonely? What if this or what if that? And he tries to run away from Isabella Rossellini. And he winds up, and the thing with the potion is that you've got 10 years, and then you're supposed to leave, disappear, which doesn't sound like a great bargain to me.
I don't think so either.
No, I think that's a bargain they could have worked out better, but in the script, he winds up at this party, and you see people like Andy Warhol, not known for his beauty. It's very strange, the people they pick. Like, they have Marilyn Monroe and James Dean, like, of course.
Elvis.
But fat Elvis. Not even like it's odd the choices they make for the famous people, Jim Morrison. One scene. Who kind of just like Jim Morrison, but he winds up at this party and he escapes, and he has the potion with him, and Bruce Willis. It's a great scene. He's on the roof, and then he's just about to fall, and they're telling him, "Just take the potion, man. You take it, you can be with us and you'll live forever." And he's like, "Nah, not doing that." And throws it away, and then falls through the roof, but he falls through a glass window, lands in the pool, and isn't killed.
Correct.
So that's when he's like, "Oh my God, I'm alive." Like, he's 50 years old. He's just like, I'm out of here. And so Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn are now stuck together, and they're constantly realizing, like, we're gonna have to paint each other's asses for the rest of our lives. I mean, it's just I paint their faces, and they're constantly the stuff's already constantly getting messed up. And I like the last part of it, the story, because it gave Ernest a chance to redeem himself. Like, he had he grew to be an old man. He got married. He had lots of kids. He helped a lot of people. Like, he lived this beautiful life. And then we have Goldie Hawn and Meryl Streep they're cackling in the back row about the whole thing.
I wrote in my notes, I'm like, they're all Grey Gardens at Ernest's funeral.
Yes. They're like this little Greek chorus, but they're just, and they look, and it's hilarious. Like the makeup is falling off of them, and then they fall down the steps, and you think this is going to finally kill them. They finally go all down the steps, and just it's really creepy, but their heads are talking, and they're like, "Did you know where we parked the car? Like, what is like?" It's just bizarre.
The visual effects actually really, they look pretty good.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this was one of those first, these kind of effects weren't commonplace at the time. And I mean, Robert Zemeckis, he went on to do like Forrest Gump and, and now I think he's really a little too obsessed with visual effects. Like he makes things like Beowulf or Christmas Carol, and they're all like Polar Express, and they're all like super visual effects, but they're kind of cold and they don't have any heart. I wouldn't say this movie has heart.
No.
But it's fun, and it does have really good visual effects.
Yeah, it's funny, and you root for Ernest at the end. Yeah. And Isabella Rossellini is a vision. They just have her in this necklace and a sarong, and that's it. And she's just like, oh, like that's Ingrid Bergman's daughter right there.
Yeah, that's some like amazing casting, because I legit believe that Isabella Rossellini has the Fountain of Youth and would look this amazing at 71.
She would. Well, that's what's crazy. I was looking at Dolly Parton has a special out right now. I don't know if you saw it. It's on Netflix, and I'm like, that woman's in her 70s. Like the pressure to look young, it just there's no let up, especially in show business. Like it's got to be exhausting.
Yeah. Do you think, I read some old reviews, and some of them said that it's one of the most heartless mainstream movies ever made. And then another review said that this movie hates women. Do you think this movie hates women?
No, I don't at all.
See, I didn't think that either. I actually think the movie has a lot of, I don't want to use the word empathy, because I wouldn't say it has empathy for Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn's characters, but I think it has empathy for women in general. Like, it's showing like the lengths that women, not that they would go so far as to drink a magic potion and like spray paint their bodies and all these things, but like,
but some actresses would.
But the idea of the lengths that women go to look younger and beautiful. I think the movie actually has empathy for women, not necessarily its characters, but for the women watching the movie. I think it does.
Well, I think there's obviously there's some competition between them, and maybe that's what they're referring to, because they're fighting over a man.
Mm-hmm.
And at some points, I did kind of think like, well, just get another guy. I mean, but then he turns out to be a great guy in the long run.
Yes.
But I don't know. I think it's lampooning show business, and it's also lampooning about how Hollywood treats women.
Yeah.
And at a certain age, and that they do feel like they have to be eternally young. And what is the fountain of youth? And men want it too.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, Don Johnson looks amazing.
Yeah.
Something's going on there.
Don Johnson does look amazing, by the way.
He looks better now than he did then. Like, that's
so
crazy.
Weird. Yeah, I mean, guys go through it too. They do like hair plugs and take Viagra, and they do their thing too.
And working out, and like in their 50s and 60s and stuff like that. Like there's that pressure for men too, but especially at that time, middle-aged women, it was like, oh God, 40, forget it.
Yeah. Oh, you're all washed up.
You're all washed up.
So Robert Zemeckis, after this, let me look. I'm gonna look it up, make sure. So he did Forrest Gump after this. Let me ask you: do you like Forrest? Yeah, are you a Gumper?
Total.
I am too. Isn't that funny? Of course we are. Of course we both are.
Okay, we're sister signs. Yes. Yeah. I find it hypnotic, that movie. I don't think it's a perfect movie, or anything, but I just pure storytelling, I find it hypnotic. I can't not watch it. I just find myself going along with it every time.
People, at the time, people super loved the movie. When it first came out, people loved Forrest Gump. Welcome to our Forrest Gump podcast. But then Pulp Fiction came out, and then it became like cool to shit on Forrest Gump. And I was like, hey, dudes, like 3 months ago, Forrest Gump was your favorite movie. And now you're telling, and I was like, you can like both. There's room in your heart for both. It's fine. But people love to shit on Forrest Gump. And I'm like, nah, I like Forrest Gump.
I do too. It's not like, what was the movie that we did that won the Oscar? And it was the Scientology guy that wrote it. And
Crash.
Crash. It's not a crash.
Yeah.
Like Forrest Gump is watchable. I don't know how else to put it. It's a very watchable movie.
Well, and he's Forrest Gump's a good person.
He's a very good person. Gary Sinise is great as Lieutenant Dan.
Yes. Lieutenant Dan.
Lieutenant Dan. And Robin Wright is beautiful.
Yes.
And wonderful. It's a sad part that she's playing, but she gives her a hell of a lot more to do. I like the music in there. It's a very watchable movie. He also directed Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which is just a ton of special effects, but it also has great performances by everybody.
I love Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Me too.
I love it. It's so good. And Bob Hoskins is so great in that movie. And Joanna Cassidy as his love interest. She's so great too. I love that movie. I am always fascinated when people like kind of do this knee-jerk shitting on Forrest Gump in front of me because they think I'll get in on it. And I'm like, no, I'm Team Gump. I'm into it.
No, I do too. I'm the same way as you. And by the way, Pulp Fiction is not a perfect movie either.
Yeah.
I mean,
I like
Pulp Fiction.
I love Pulp Fiction too.
Yeah. But all the scenes with Bruce Willis's girlfriend, taking it back to Bruce Willis, all the scenes with that girlfriend are annoying as fuck. Oh, we got some pancakes. I'm going to get pancakes with strawberries.
I wish I had a pot belly.
Oh, that is one of the worst women characters he's ever written.
Oh my gosh, you are so funny. I love it.
I want pancakes. I remember the movie. They're like, okay, now you're pissing me off. I was with you. Thank God they set it up that movie the way they did, because then it just jumps to something else completely different.
Oh, now I'm like, here comes the derailer. So one of my favorite stories, one of my favorite movie stories from my dad is my dad explaining how him and my mother watched Pulp Fiction together at home. And my mom won't sit down and like watch a movie. She like wanders off and like comes back into the room. And she was very confused by Pulp Fiction because he's just sitting there watching it. And then she'll leave the room and come back with laundry or something. And she's like, where's John Travolta? What happened? Like she couldn't keep up because all the stories are different like every 20 minutes.
Oh,
so
yeah.
She was like, I don't understand. And he's like, woman, sit down and watch the movie. He was like, she's like, what happened to Bruce Willis's character? It stars all these people my mom loves, but it's like not for her. She's so hilarious. My mother, she's crazy. What else do we want to? I know that I saw there's a ton of articles out there about how the like trans community has embraced this movie, which I think is amazing and totally makes sense to me. It makes me love it even more. I feel like this movie is almost gets more love now than it did back in the day.
It's one of the ones where we go, Roger Ebert got it wrong.
Yeah.
That's this movie. I think he said too, like it was all so mean spirited, and I don't know. I think we can handle more mean spirited now,
yeah.
And not everything has to be heartfelt. Not everything, I think it's also just middle-aged women being funny and mean and hilarious towards each other.
Yeah,
that's why we have the Real Housewives. It manifested itself in the real world.
This is the real. It's basically an extreme Real Housewives.
It's exactly. It's like Jersey with special effects.
Yeah, I would watch that. By the way, I know you would.
Oh hell yeah!
When does Real Housewives of Salt Lake City start? By the way, is it in December?
in November. So I'm not going to watch OC anymore because one of them is a COVID denier.
Ew.
And she posts things on Instagram that's just like, and they all are just clueless rich white women with no real problems.
Oh.
And then they put COVID in the middle of it. And I'm just like, I'm having a hard enough time handling COVID on my own.
Yeah.
I don't need to watch brainless, clueless people trying to deal with it. So,
fuck those people.
Fuck those people. So Salt Lake City's coming up soon. It looks great.
Okay, awesome. Because I'm going to get on board. I'm going to watch from the beginning. I'm into it.
Get on the beginning. Yep.
Do we have anything else we want to say about Death Becomes Her? I'm going through my notes.
How did we not mention Fabio? We have a Fabio appearance.
Where is Fabio?
He's one of the guys that's like that
right.
protects her.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, Fabio. Remember when a bird attacked him?
Paul F. Tompkins has the best story about Fabio. You want to hear it?
Yes, I do.
He was working at Tower Records in LA. Paul F. Tompkins was a comedian. And one day, one of his coworkers came in and she was cracking up. And he said, "What's so funny?" And she goes, "Oh my God, my boyfriend and I were driving down Sunset. And guess who was in the lane next to us? Fabio." And she just started howling. And he's like, "Oh, that's not very funny." Like, whatever. And he said the very next day, who walks in but Fabio? And he says, and then I just cracked the fuck up. Because you're never prepared for Fabio. Like when he shows up, you're like, "Oh my God."
Yeah, because he is like, I mean, if you guys don't know who Fabio is, you should Google that shit. He was like a model for romance
novels.
For romance novel covers. And he just has that look about him. He doesn't look real. So yeah, if he walked in to your work, you would be like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. He's just doing, he says, "You just can't help it." He goes, and then he says that he goes out with a joke, like, that's his whole life. Like everywhere he goes, people just crack up when they see him.
Poor Fabio. Well, not really. Not really. I'm sure he's living a good life.
Oh yeah. He's still living his best life. But yeah, we had a Fabio appearance there.
That's hilarious. Oh,
and
Fabio.
The costuming is great.
Yes.
The costuming of the guys, like the long hair, it's very 1992.
Very 92.
Yeah.
But this was a really fun rewatch. Like, I think the visual effects look pretty great. I think the story's more relevant than ever. I really enjoyed it. I think it drags a little bit when you get to the party.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah. It's really good. I'm going through my notes, and I think the only thing I have a note here where I wrote, "Do you know what they do to soft, bald, overweight Republicans in prison, Ernest?"
Yeah, the prison rape joke is a little.
I'm like, there's that. Yeah, I loved all the stuff like with the morgue, where he's like, "She's in the morgue. She'll be furious." Like, everyone's like, "What?" It's really good. I really liked it. This was a good pick. Oh, and then I read that originally Kevin Kline was supposed to play Ernest, and I was like, that makes sense to me too.
He would have been good too.
Yeah. Kevin Kline's rad. Listen to our Dave episode. We love Kevin Kline here at Dorking Out. Do you want to hear some other movies that came out in July 1992?
Yes, please.
Okay. Boomerang with Eddie Murphy.
I think I like that.
I remember liking that movie at the time.
Yeah.
And it's also, I think, one of the first times I saw Halle Berry.
And she's so beautiful. And still.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Also, another one doesn't age.
Yeah. And Boomerang played at my movie theater. So I believe over the end of the credits is a Boys to Men song. It might even be like End of the Road or one of those, so I had to listen to it like 5 times a day. Also, July 92, A League of Their Own, which
we talked about that movie, which we love.
We love. Cool World.
Oh, God.
We don't
the David Bowie song?
This is that like mix of animation and live action with like Gabriel Byrne, Brad Pitt, and Kim Basinger.
Didn't work.
No, it was not good. Prelude to a Kiss.
I like Prelude to a Kiss.
I haven't seen that one since the theater, but I remember liking it at the time.
I saw it in Berkeley with Timothy Hutton and not Mary Stuart Masterson, Mary Louise
Louise Parker. Yeah.
It's really good.
She means on stage, not in the movie theater, y'all.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
They were sitting right by me at the movie.
Just hanging out by my pool, just acting it out for me.
Also, Honey, I Blew Up the Kids.
Yeah. I don't like the sequels to the original. I like the original movie very much.
We love Rick Moranis here.
Yep.
I hope he's doing well. I know he had somebody beat him up recently, right? He got mugged or something.
York.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Ugh.
Whoever did that, fuck you. Be nice to Rick Moranis. We love him.
I'm sure he didn't realize it was him.
That must be it. Nobody should be hurting Rick Moranis. No. There was a movie in 92 called Man Trouble, which I believe is Ellen Barkin and Jack Nicholson. Do you remember this movie?
No.
Me neither, but I probably saw it. Also, I'm sure you remember this one. It's called A Stranger Among Us with Melanie Griffith.
And she goes undercover in a Jewish community. And she's a Brooklyn or Manhattan cop. And she goes undercover and she doesn't know what half the Yiddish words are, which is ridiculous.
I knew you would know that
one. Especially in 92. Oh, my God. You have chutzpah. And the cops go, oh, my God.
We should put it on the list.
We should actually, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. It's such a good one. And then Mo Money.
Mm-hmm.
And
I don't remember that.
I'm like, I know what it is, but I actually probably didn't see that one. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which we talked about. Bebe's Kids.
Oh, yeah.
Which I remember liking at the time.
Is that Robin Harris?
Yeah.
Yeah, R.I.P. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the last one is Enchanted April. Which, did you do that one for book versus movie?
No, we did another Merchant Ivory.
Okay. I get them mixed up. There's so many.
No. Do you want to hear some of the top songs of 92?
Yes, I do.
Okay, this is going to give you flavor. Sophie B. Hawkins. Damn, I wish I was your lover.
Damn! I wish I was your lover. I love that song.
The Cure, Friday I'm in Love. Great song.
Such a good song.
Annie Lennox, Why? It's a beautiful song.
Very beautiful.
You couldn't get away from this one. Right Said Fred, I'm Too Sexy.
You could not get away from it. It was everywhere.
You still can't. You really still can't. You still hear it in commercials all the time. Arrested Development, Tennessee.
Oh, that song is song. I love that song.
This is one of my favorites. These are my favorites coming up. Dr. Dre, Ain't Nothing But a G Thing.
That's a good song.
And Beastie Boys, What you want? What you want?
I love, God. Beastie Boys. I love them so much. R.I.P. MCA.
Yep.
That's a good list. What else are you dorking out about?
I just saw on Netflix. It just came out today that we're recording this episode. It's the trial of the Chicago 7.
Ooh.
And Aaron Sorkin wrote and directed it. It's based on real events that happened after the Democratic Convention in '68. There were 8 people rounded up for inciting a riot. One of them was Bobby Seale. He was the only one that was African American. At one point, he was chained to his chair for acting up. Everything in the trial you can understand to be true. Aaron Sorkin's going to Aaron Sorkin things, so
a lot of walking and
walking and talking, like super hyper clever. But it's got Sacha Baron Cohen as Abby Hoffman.
Ooh, okay.
And he's great. I actually met Abby Hoffman.
You did? How?
He went on Alex Bennett's show, the radio show.
Yeah.
Because he had this book that made him money for a while. It was called Steal This Book.
Yes, I totally remember this.
So he was on to it was called Steal This Drug Test. And I know, he was really banking on it at that point. And sadly, he died not that long after by suicide.
And
Alex being Alex made it all about himself.
Yeah, of course.
And said, I'm so angry at him for doing this because he just took away my best friend. I'm like, okay.
You're all,
you know what?
It's about me.
Anyway. Yeah, it's about me. But who else is in it? Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Um, I'm blanking on the names. It's Eddie Redmayne.
This
He's
is
in
a really
there.
good cast.
It's a super good cast, and even though I know everything that's happened, and there was a movie that was made about this. It was sort of like it looked like a graphic novel kind of come to life sort of thing, but it's really well done. Everything in the court that they're talking about all happened. It's all true. It'll make you feel very patriotic. It'll make you also want to protest. It's like everything old is new again. Here's this thing that happened 50 years ago, and it could be happening right now.
That's crazy. All right, I'm putting it on the list. It's a movie or it's a show?
It's a movie on Netflix.
Okay.
The Trial of the Chicago 7. And then I wanted to recommend for you a podcast called Watch What Crappens. And
I've heard you talk about this one before.
It's Ronnie and Ben are the hosts, and they started talking about all housewives, because the housewife shows are starting to go away. They're not doing that well, some of them. So they expanded it into Netflix. And so they're now covering Emily in Paris. They're covering the Great British Bake Off.
Oh, okay.
They're covering Selling Sunset. So Great British Bake Off, if you like that, if you've been watching every week, they just do a really fun recap.
All right. I love this because I love the Great British Baking Show, and I would love to watch. I would love to listen to a recap of that. That's amazing.
It's usually about an hour long. It's perfect for if you have to be on the treadmill.
Yeah.
If you're looking for something to make you laugh while you're on the treadmill, it's perfect for that.
Okay, that's an excellent. I literally wrote it down on my little dry erase board here.
Good.
What was it? Oh, have you watched Emily in Paris? People seem to really fucking hate it.
It's getting mixed reviews. I heard my friend Patty, who likes almost everything, was like, I didn't like the first couple, but then it gets better.
Okay.
But it's like, I don't know. I want to be in Paris so bad that I just want to see Paris.
Yeah. I would love to be in Paris right now.
I would love to be anywhere right now.
Valid. So funny you should give me a recommendation, because what I'm dorking out about was also a recommendation from you on your Best Neighbors podcast, which is American Murder, The Family Next Door.
Right?
Holy shit, you guys. Holy shit. She was talking about it on Best Neighbors, and I was like, that sounds like my jam. And so my family, David went to bed, and I was like, I'm going to stay up for like a little bit longer. I'm going to watch like 20 minutes of this documentary, and then I might come to bed. I watched the whole thing. It's just it's a documentary. It's not a series, but like it totally sucked me in. I was blown away by how they tell that story. So if you guys don't know, there was a woman and her a pregnant woman and her two children are missing, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out where it's going to go. But the way they tell the story is there's no voiceover, there's no talking heads. It's all told through like body cam footage, Facebook Live, text messages, like security camera footage, interrogation footage. Like, just, I'm always impressed with documentaries and how they tell their stories, because you can kind of write out how you want it to be, but you have to find the footage to tell that story, and you have to edit it right and time it right to make it happen. And so I always think that's really interesting. And this one does it really well. It's so well done. And the crime is really fucked up and upsetting. Yeah. But I was kind of hypnotized by the storytelling of it, and enough that when I know a true crime thing is good, that when it's over, I start Googling and reading things about it.
I watched it again. I went back and watched the first 20 minutes again. Because the body cam footage is incredible.
Yes.
I don't know how, I don't know what the technology, I don't know what it looks like, but the woman's friend dropped her off at her house at 2 a.m. This one was at a conference or something. And then she tried to call her the next day, and she wasn't answering. And she knew right away. That friend was like, something's up.
Yeah.
Something's going on. And she goes right to her house and, calls the police, and the police can't let them in. And then all of a sudden the husband shows up. It was like, oh, hey, come on in, guys. Here you go. And what's I mean, it's fascinating. They're looking around the house and he's saying like, oh, her phone wasn't even plugged in. I'll plug her in her phone right now. And the cops go to the next door neighbors, and turns out the next door neighbor had a camera not only on his house, but on the driveway of his neighbor next door. And that guy didn't realize it.
Oh.
And the oh shit look on his face is like...
They should start playing the Curb Your Enthusiasm music.
Yes, you might as well. It was just like, oh my God. But I didn't realize like the social media backlash that her family got.
That's awful.
Which is awful. And it's a terrible story. He's a family annihilator. I mean, but this was all in the news. We know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I thought I was also hypnotized by the storytelling. I mean, that's also getting mixed. I was kind of shocked. Some people are not liking it. But...
Oh, no. I think it's really interesting because it's also showing like how much of our lives we put online. I think it also, it's a true crime story, and it's super sad. I cried. I actually had to stop it at one point and like do a little Googling to see where it was going because I was upset. Like I needed to know where it was going in order to finish it, which is honestly a sign to me that they're doing something good in the story when it affects me. It does give you like, it's not gratuitous. I'm trying to think of the right word. I'm always very aware that these are human beings and that you know, it can happen to, like, this kind of thing can happen to anyone. It really can. And the idea that the person you trust the most can hurt you is super fucking scary to me. And I know I was going to say something else about the social media. Oh, about how what you see on social media isn't always the truth either. Like, and you know, she was posting all these videos and photos on Facebook, and like they looked very happy. You know, here they are playing in the water at the beach, and they're this, and pictures of them together and things like that. And, you know, that's not everything that was really happening. And so many people get depressed when they're on social media because they are like, everyone's life is super great and my life sucks. And it's like, no, pretty much everyone's life is kind of, we all have our hard times and we all are going through our own shit, but maybe you don't put it on social media. So it's like you're putting your best face on everything on social. And I think this also shows that in a really clear way. It's so well done. It's really, really good. So if you like true crime, it's on Netflix. It's very well done. I've been thinking about it nonstop. I think I've watched it like a week ago or right after we recorded last week. So it's a good one.
It's a good one. Netflix has got a lot of good stuff on there right now.
Yeah, it's like a true crime gold mine.
True crime and cooking and baking.
It's all my favorite things.
Yes. Like, I'm like, oh, it makes me so happy.
And there's going to be a new season of Unsolved Mysteries.
Monday. Drops Monday.
Oh my God. I didn't realize it was so soon. Holy shit.
How am I going to wait? How can I'm just, you know.
I'm like writing that down on my Unsolved Mysteries. Unsolved Mystery. Writing it down right now. It's so good. So thanks for those recs, Margo. You're very good at this.
Oh, thank you.
Where can people find you on the internet to get more recs?
You can find me on the internet on Twitter and Instagram at Brooklyn Fit Chick, and my blog is brooklynfitchick.com.
And if you like the sound of our voices, and of course you do.
Duh.
Because we sound like this. You can listen to us. We also do a podcast called What a Creep, where we talk about creeps. Like our most recent episode right now is about Elvis. Super talented dude, also a creep, and took a potion, clearly, that makes him forever young and live forever. But we don't talk about that in What a Creep. And then we end every episode with someone who's not a creep, so you don't think the world's a dumpster fire. And it's super fun, so please, please listen. And you can find me at thesoniashow.com and The Sonia Show on Twitter and Instagram, where I post photos of my beer and my bread. And if you like Dorking Out and you want to give us a review, that would be amazing on Apple Podcasts. It helps us find our people, and it counteracts all the people that go, I don't like lady podcasters, 1 star. And if you want some stickers, please email us at dorkingoutshow@gmail.com, and Margo will be so kind as to send you some adorable stickers. Adorable, everybody drink. This was super
happy to do it.
Super fun, Margo. Good pick on the Death Becomes Her.
Well, thank you for enjoying it with me. This was super fun.
It was. And I think next week we are going to have Adam Risky on, and we're going to talk about Interview with a Vampire.
I have not seen that movie in so long. I am so psyched for this.
I don't think I've seen it since the theater. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a really good conversation, and it's always so fun when
Adam.
When we have Adam on. So until next week, everybody, please be safe. Wear your masks and wash your hands. Be socially distant. And we'll see you next week.